The room was dark, with only the soft glow of the bedside lamp lighting it. Obodo sat at the edge of the bed, his hands trembling as he stared at Jane, his new wife. Her face, which had glowed with joy during their wedding reception, now showed unease. Obodo's mind raced as he tried to process what he had just learned. This night was supposed to mark the beginning of their honeymoon, a moment to usher in a new chapter in his life, a life meant to fulfill his father's dying wish and his own promise to settle down and start a family. Yet, nothing could have prepared him for this moment. Obodo was the kind of man people noticed. He was tall, dark, and handsome, with a charming smile that made women fainting wherever they met him. At 6 feet tall, he had a confident walk and an air of success that drew people to him. His job at an international NGO in Abuja earned him a good salary, enabling him to live comfortably in a neat two-bedroom duplex in a nice part of the city. He drove a polished BMW that added to his swag. His style was intact. Obodo was the only son of his parents, who lived in their hometown Makurdi in Benue State, along with their two younger daughters. His father, a retired army general, was a man of strong principles. His mother ran a private clinic. Women admired him wherever he went, and some openly flirted, calling him sugar boy. Even married women at his office sent him secret gifts in hopes of catching his attention. His friends nicknamed him Obodo the Slayer because of his carefree way of moving from one relationship to another. He would often joke with his closest friend, Nonso, saying, "When I am ready to settle down, I will start going to church so I can marry a virgin." Nonso would laugh and shake his head. "Virgin kwa? You? Keep dreaming," he would reply. For years, Obodo enjoyed his carefree lifestyle until one Saturday morning changed everything. His younger sister called him, her voice trembling. "Papa is very sick. He's asking for you. Please come home quickly." Without wasting time, Obodo packed a bag and drove to Makurdi. He found his father, the retired general, lying weakly in bed. The sight of the once strong man reduced to this state was so heartbreaking. The old man beckoned on him closer, and despite his weakness, his voice was firm. "I want you to get married and give me a grandchild before I die," he said. "Papa, you won't die now. I am here to take care of you," Obodo replied. "I have heard about your behavior in Abuja," his father continued. "If you don't marry within 6 months, I will give all my property to your younger sisters," he added with a frown. Obodo's world shifted. He knew his father meant every word. The general was a man of principles, and Obodo didn't want to lose his inheritance or disappoint him in his final days. Back in Abuja, Obodo shared his father's demand with Nonso. Even the jokester Nonso laughed, but then suggested, "Let's start going to church. That's where you will find a good woman." Though the idea seemed strange to Obodo, he agreed. Thus began the search for a wife. They started attending Citadel Global Church, one of the finest growing churches in Abuja. The church was impressive, with tall white walls and colorful stained glass windows. The choir sang beautifully, and the senior pastor's sermons were powerful and inspiring. Obodo and his friend Nonso were already being carried away by the aesthetics and the all experiences that the church represents, and were almost forgetting their aim of joining the church. In one of the church midweek services, Obodo had attended it alone because his friend Nonso had traveled on official assignments. After the close of service, he was about driving out of the parking lot when someone hit his car from behind. Angrily, he stepped out to confront the offender, but he froze when he saw her. "I am very sorry," the young lady said nervously. "I wasn't looking because I was in a hurry to catch up with someone. Please forgive me. I will fix the car." Her face was full of fear. Um, don't worry," he stammered. "I'll fix it myself. Just be careful next time." He was still taken aback by her beauty. "Okay, thank you very much. My name is Jane, and this is my card. Please call me if you have any trouble fixing it." They exchanged contacts and Jane drove off. Jane was the senior pastor's daughter, and she was very beautiful. Her smile lit up the room, and her modest yet elegant style made her stand out. She worked at a new generation bank, where she was admired for her dedication and professionalism. Her friends affectionately called her the pastor's daughter with swag. She was kind to everyone and had a calm, peaceful way about her that drew people in. For days, Obodo couldn't stop thinking about Jane. Her smile, elegance, but modest, innocent style kept drawing him in. He felt an instant attraction to her, and finally he confided in Nonso. "Nonso, I met a lady some days ago in church, and since then I have not been able to get her out of my mind," he admitted. "Hey, my friend has fallen in love, oh. Why don't you call her? She might be the one," Nonso teased. So Obodo decided to shoot his shot and gave Jane a call to get to know her. At first, Jane was cautious. She had learned stories about men like Obodo, but his persistence and charm eventually won her over. Jane, on the other hand, was also impressed by how successful Obodo was, having visited him in his home. Over time, they became close, and Obodo was certain she was the one. Jane's family welcomed him warmly, and within a few months they were engaged. From the inception of their relationship, Jane often spoke about her faith and her values. She made it clear that she wanted to save herself for marriage. At first, Obodo was skeptical about the idea, having been a player himself, but after so much convincing from Jane, he agreed to wait. He felt proud that he had found someone so pure and virtuous, someone who could help him turn his life around. He even started attending church more regularly, surprising Nonso with his dedication. Their wedding was a grand event. Friends and family came from far and wide to celebrate. Obodo's father, though still weak, managed to attend, his face beaming with pride as he watched his son exchange vows. The ceremony was filled with music, laughter, and joy. Obodo felt like he was finally doing the right thing, fulfilling his father's wish and starting a new chapter with Jane. While his friends and colleagues were celebrating and cheering him up, some of his ex-girlfriends who attended the wedding were in one corner gossiping. After the wedding, Jane's father gifted the couple a brand new car and a 5-bedroom duplex in Ajah, Lagos State. Obodo's father added a 1-month all-expenses-paid honeymoon trip to Dubai. It was a day of happiness and glamour. However, happiness, they say, has wings and could fly away whenever it pleases. That was the case of Jane, as it began to dawn on her that the secret she and her family had kept all these years was about to be revealed. The happiness of the day was short-lived. That night, as Obodo and Jane prepared for bed in their hotel room, her mood changed, and she seemed nervous, avoiding his gaze. Obodo thought it was just first night nervousness, but then she said something that stopped him cold. Obodo, there is something I need to tell you, she began, her voice trembling. Whatever it is, my love, it can wait until we consummate this marriage, Obodo said, smiling as he reached for her. But Jane avoided his gaze, her nervousness now impossible to ignore. Obodo grew more impatient, flipping her nightgown aside in an attempt to move her forward. But the moment his hand touched something unexpected between her legs, he froze. His heart pounded as confusion and fear swept over him. "What is this?" he asked, concern creeping into his voice. "I was born different," Jane said, her eyes brimming with tears. "I am an intersex person." "What do you mean?" Obodo demanded, his mind struggling to grasp what was unfolding. With trembling hands and tears in her, Jane began to explain her condition. She told him she was born with both male and female genitals. She revealed that she had undergone surgeries to live as the woman she has always knew herself to be. Her parents had kept this secret, hoping she would one day find a man who could love and accept her. Obodo felt like the ground had been pulled out from under him. He sat down in great silence, his mind racing. This was not the future he had imagined. "Why didn't you tell me before the wedding?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "I was scared," Jane admitted. "I didn't know how to tell you. I thought you would leave me." The room fell into an oppressive silence. Obodo's thoughts raced. His father's ultimatum, the expectations of society, and the betrayal he felt. The future he had envisioned crumbled before his eyes. For the rest of the night, Obodo couldn't sleep. Jane eventually cried herself to sleep, while Obodo stared at the ceiling, lost in thought. He felt betrayed, confused, and angry. But deep down, he also felt a sharp pain of guilt. Jane hadn't chosen her condition, but she hadn't also trusted him enough to tell him the truth from the beginning. In the days that followed, Obodo withdrew into himself. He avoided Nonso and ignored his father's calls. He didn't know how to explain what had happened. Jane, for her part, sensing his inner trouble, gave him space, though she hoped desperately he would come around. As the silence stretched between them, Obodo began to reflect on his life and his choices. He felt about Jane's kindness, her strength, and the love she had shown him. She wasn't just the pastor's daughter of the perfect virgin he had sought. She was a person who had faced challenges he couldn't even imagine and had come out stronger. He realized life wasn't always what one planned. His father's ultimatum, his dreams of a perfect family, were just one part of the story. The true test was how he chose to move forward. Could he learn to embrace a future different from the one he had imagined? Could he love Jane for who she truly was? Obodo decided he needed clarity and guidance. One evening, he drove to Citadel Global Church. Sitting alone in the pews, he prayed for the first time in years, pouring out his confusion and pain. The sermon that night, delivered by Jane's father, was about love and forgiveness, about accepting the imperfections in others and finding strength in unity. These words resonated deeply with Obodo. That night, Obodo returned to their home and sat Jane down. "I don't know if I can fully understand everything," he began, "but I want to try. I didn't marry you for just my father or the society. I married you because I love you. Let's figure this out together. Tears rolled down Jane's eyes, and for the first time in days, a small smile crossed her face. Thank you so much, Obodo, she said softly. Their journey was far from easy. They sought counseling and support to navigate their unique situation. Obodo faced questions from his friends, his father, and society, but he stood firm, learning to embrace a love built on resilience and acceptance. Over time, their bond grew stronger. Obodo learned true love wasn't about perfection or fulfilling expectations. It was about accepting each other for who they truly were. The road ahead remained uncertain, but together they chose to walk it, hand in hand, ready to face whatever challenges came their way.